Protesters gathered outside the Supreme Court today as Uber began its appeal of a 2022 employment court ruling that 4 drivers had been misclassified as contractors rather than employees. Uber has argued that drivers are consumers who pay a service fee to use the ride-sharing app, which connects them to customers. But unions say Uber is avoiding employment responsibilities, such as entitlements to minimum wage and holiday pay. Political correspondent Zane Small reports.
Outside the Supreme Court in Wellington, a banner calling on Uber drivers to rise up.
We will fight, we will get our right. We are humans like anyone else.
The protesters want Uber drivers to be classified as employees and have all the benefits, such as sick leave and the minimum wage. But Uber wants to classify them as contractors. Today it was appealing against a 2022 ruling that Uber was wrong to classify 4 drivers as contractors. Nureddin Abdurrahman was one of them. He's now a Wellington City councillor.
Well, it's very frustrating and it took very long time. 4 years is not an easy thing, but it's not a fight only for the 4 drivers. This is a fight for the whole gig economy.
In 2021, unions filed legal action against Uber on behalf of 4 drivers. In 2022, the Employment Court heard the case and ruled that the drivers should be classified as employees. The following year, Uber appealed the decision, and in 2024, the Court of Appeal heard Uber's arguments but dismissed its appeal. So Uber took it to the Supreme Court.
We're hoping the Supreme Court will be the last stop for Uber because we have 1,000 members out there waiting to advance their claims, but we couldn't do that because Uber is keeping on appealing their cases.
In a statement, an Uber spokesperson said this week's Supreme Court hearing is an important step in providing clarity on how gig work fits into New Zealand's modern workforce. Kiwis deserve modern ways of working that reflects how people live and work today, one that offers choice, autonomy and opportunity. The protesters also took aim at the government over Workplace Relations Minister Brooke Van Velden's proposed gateway test legislation that would restrict future challenges over employment classification to give businesses more certainty.
The Minister has made it clear that she intends to change the law around contractors, and as far as we can see, her intent is to change it so that people who drive Uber will remain contractors.
Brooke Van Velden's office declined an interview, but in a statement the Minister said, "I expect the first reading to happen in the next couple of months, and I would encourage the public and interested parties to submit their concerns and feedback through the Select Committee process." Unions are also accusing Uber of shifting hundreds of millions of dollars in profit to its parent company in the United States, potentially costing New Zealand tax revenue. And the government is accused of failing to prevent that after stopping progress on a digital services tax introduced by the previous Labour government.
This money is transmitted to other countries, and New Zealanders are not benefiting from this because we're not taxing them properly.
The government preferred to wait for a global solution to the digital taxation issue, just as these protesters will have to wait for the Supreme Court to deliver its ruling on whether Uber drivers are contractors or employees.
So Zane, when will we hear the Supreme Court's decision?
Well, once the hearing concludes tomorrow, the Supreme Court will reserve their decision, so it could come at any time, but it will no doubt have significant consequences whichever way it goes. For example, First Union says hundreds of Uber drivers have joined since the Employment Court's 2022 verdict, and the union has lodged back pay claims for unpaid wages and leave on their behalf. So you can imagine Uber will be nervously awaiting the Supreme Court's decision and the potential financial ramifications that come with it.